Hello everybody and welcome to my studio. My name is Lonna and I am an acrylic artist. Thank you so much for stopping into my studio today. I hope you're going to grab your paints and paint along with me. We're going to do a really fun mixed media project. Not 100% mixed media, but a little bit of mixed media in it. It was taken from a reference photo from Pixabay, so I will link those photos in the description below. There was two photos that I referenced for this particular painting, and I think that you're going to really have a good time painting this one. Let's take a look at it. Here it is, Lady of Mystery. Yes, I loved painting this one. So much fun. We did color washes in the background, some stamping, some splattering. We developed the hat so that the background actually was the colors for the hat, and it was just so incredibly easy to paint. I think it's going to be one of the easiest ones. Probably the most difficult part will be the face. But that alone right there, we've just got a little bit of the face, so to make it a little bit easier on this design, and I think that you're really going to enjoy painting this one. You can mix it up and give her a different shaped hat. You can make her hair a different color, her lips a different color, whatever you like. But this one was tons and tons of fun to create. So I hope that you're going to paint along with this one. I used DecoArt Americana paints on this, but of course you can use whatever paints you like. And I'm painting on a 9x12 canvas panel. Again, you can adjust the line drawing to whatever size that you like. There is a packet for this. The packet comes with step-by-step written instructions, full color step-by-step photographs, line drawing, and a full photograph of the finished piece. And you can find those over at lonnalamb.com. So I hope you're going to grab your paints or supplies and grab a packet over at lonnalamb.com. If you are new to my YouTube channel, please subscribe. Please hit that notification bell so you know whenever I post a video, and please give me a thumbs up. That all helps me out in the world of YouTube, and I appreciate you so very much. So let's grab our paints and supplies and let's get painting this Lady of Mystery. Alright, I'm going to prep this surface here. It is a 9x12 canvas panel, Master Touch from Hobby Lobby. I like their canvas panels very well. I'm going to apply a coat of chalky gesso in white. You do not have to do this if you're painting on a canvas panel. I just like a little bit more smoothness on my canvas. This one's pretty smooth, but I just wanted a little bit smoother. So I've got a damp 2-inch foam roller. It's got a little bit too much water in it, so I'm going to squeeze a little bit of the water out. We only want it damp. We don't want it full of water. Damp, so it helps the paint to come out of the roller, and it helps when we go to wash it. So just apply a nice coat on here, and we're going to let this dry. And then we're going to come back and start working on top of this. If you're working on a wood surface, you'll want to apply a coat of multi-purpose sealer first with your damp sponge, and then a coat of either chalky gesso or white paint. You don't necessarily have to have gesso on your wood surface, but it does give you a little bit more opaque coverage than just white paint to cover up all of that wood. Okay, so just a nice even coat, and we're gonna let this dry. Okay, so I feel pretty dry here. I've washed out my roller, and we're gonna paint the background now. I've got now we're using DecoArt Americana acrylic paints, and I've got Pebble, Warm Beige, and Snow White. So I'm just going to load up. I'm just going to use these kind of randomly and just start applying some with my roller. We'll get a few patches of color on here. I'm going to work wet into wet and grab some of that warm beige and put in here. A little bit more of that. And then we're just going to try and blend these colors out a little bit. Grab some white. And just make a varied background. It can be kind of a mottled background. I'm just very lightly going over it with the roller now so that we can kind of see those colors in the background. Don't overwork it. It will just become one big muddy color if you overwork it. So I've got some varied color in my background. That's super fun. We're going to come in later and add some darker colors in here, but this is just our background getting us started, so we're going to let this dry. Alright, my background is dry. Now that it's dry, you can see a little bit more of the mottled look in the background. Colors are not completely blended, which gives it a really cool look. Okay, and if there's any places on your canvas that you may have missed getting paint on, not to worry, we've got some other layers coming on top of this. I am going to very lightly sand this, just make sure there's no high spots on here. Just very lightly. Brown paper bag, that's all you need. That's all you need. Alright, I've got a large filbert brush here. It's a 1-inch brush. You can use whatever brush that you would like. I've got soft black, burnt umber, rookwood red, and Payne's gray. We're going to apply some washes of these colors in the background. So we want the background to be damp. So I'm going to take my spritzing bottle and lightly spritz for now. We're going to be adding more water as we go. And we just want to create some little pooling puddles of washy color in here. So I'm just going to apply some. Now I could definitely go down to a little bit smaller brush. I'm going to miss that because I want it to kind of wash away and fade away a little bit. We'll tilt it up and let it give some cool effects and kind of let it run down the canvas a little bit. Or you can just create like a little watercolor effect. So I'm going to do this in a couple places. I'm just going to spritz some water on there. I want it to be good and damp. And of course this will fade into the canvas quite a bit. So see how that's running down? I love that. I'm going to spritz it a little bit more to give it a little bit more to go. And of course this will thin down the color as well, so when it dries it won't be quite as dark. Rinse that brown out of my brush. And I'm going to grab some of the rookwood red and put some of that in a few places. Then we'll spritz it and let it do its rolling thing. I'm going to turn it this way too. Let some of it roll this direction. You can see how the water is making it move. We want kind of a watercolor effect in our background. We needed our undertones first. I'm going to turn it over and bring it back this way. I love how that is just rolling down the canvas. That is so cool. Alright, I want to put some blue in here, or Payne's gray. It's got a blue color to it. So we'll do that. And while I'm here, I'll just add a little bit of burnt umber. We'll get some nice variations in our background. Alright, let's see what we can do here. Spritz, spritz, spritz. Let it roll. I have paper down so I can tap my canvas and any of that puddling can go onto the paper. A little bit more on that burnt umber. Whoops. And bring it back this way. Alright, so I'm liking how that looks. It looks pretty good. I may want to come back in and add some more rookwood red on here when this dries. We'll see how light it dries. So I'm going to lay this down and let it dry, and we'll see how it looks once it is completely dry. Okay, I've got my heat tool out here, and I'm just adding a couple of spots more of some color on here because I want a little bit more of it to roll. A little bit more. And I want it to start drying just a little bit. Kind of messed this side up. It was still very wet when I tried to work it, so it didn't do what I wanted it to do. So I'll put some other color on it. Let me get some more water on that. And see how we can make that. Move a little bit. Okay. I'm liking that better. I really don't like that big, bold, dark mark there, so I may end up taking that off and redoing that spot completely. But right now, I gotta let it dry. Alright, I've got mine dry. Whatever you do, don't rush it. I rushed it here, and that's why it looks like that, but we've got some other steps to put on here. So right now I'm going to put my pattern on, so I'm just going to put it on here where I think it will look good. Okay, I'm going to tape it so it doesn't move. So just a couple places, just give it a little piece of tape. Okay, then your gray graphite paper underneath, and we're going to trace all of our lines. Now they don't have to be super dark, so don't feel like you have to get them really dark. If you do get them kind of dark, then you can erase them back. Now we're not going to put the flower on. We'll put the banding on here on the hat. Face shape. Well, let's get her lips. I had one heck of a time drawing this nose for some reason. Let's get her shoulders. And then just some basic, maybe, well, let's get her neck lines in there. Some basic stuff for hair. Let's see if I pushed hard enough to get that to show up. And I did, so we're looking pretty good right there. So if you're really dark, mine are a little dark, I feel like, especially on her lips, which I didn't draw straight there. I probably will erase them back just a little bit. Get this tape off of my pattern. I think I'll erase them back just a little bit, and then we can start adding some other stuff on here. Because these are just kind of guidelines, which we just need them to be on here lightly. So let's just give a little light erasing. You need to see them. Nobody else needs to see them. I'll probably leave mine a little bit darker than I normally do, just so that you can kind of see what I'm doing. Although her mouth right there, I'm going to erase that pretty good because I didn't draw that line in right. Lines are just for you, nobody else. brush this off into the trash can. And we are going to get ready to do some really cool stuff onto this. Of course, another way that you could do the background is to just get a really cool piece of scrapbooking paper and put on there, and then go from there and create how you want your background. So we're going to be stamping on here. I've got these Stampinda stamps. This is the Cling Vintage Note. What is this one? Cling Script Lines. Either one of these will work just fine. And then I've got this one. It is from Stampers Anonymous. It's a Tim Holtz collection. This is the Baroque stamp set here. And I think we're going to use one of these on here with a little bit different color. So if you've got these two, grab them. If you don't have these two, use whatever stamps that you have. Use stencils. It doesn't matter. We want to try and stay off of the face area, but everywhere else is open territory. Okay? That's why we put the pattern on first. So I'm going to be using StazOn ink, but of course you can use paint as well. Jet black or timber brown, either one of these colors will do just fine. I think I'm going to use the timber brown maybe on this one. I'll give it a little bit different color on here. Hopefully I have ink in this one. I haven't used this one for a while, so I have absolutely no idea how much ink is in it. If there's not enough, then I will definitely be using the black. So I'm just going to, and it doesn't matter if we get good coverage on our stamps. You know, if it leaves, see, some blank areas, love, love, love that. Okay, and I'm going to come over here and do some here. Remember to try and stay off of the face. If you feel like you're going to get it on the face, then just lay a piece of paper in that area. And let's see if I got a piece of scrap paper laying here. Well, let me see. I might have a little Post-it thing I can stick on there. Might not be quite so big. And just lay it over the face right there. I'm going to kind of leave the center of the hat open as well. And oh, I just put that upside down. Well, nobody's going to know that but me. So I'm not going to worry about it. Okay, I'm going to move this over so I can come down this side. Oops. So we'll just continue all the way across, down and across, and of course down here you don't have to have tons. You don't need any on the neck area. I'm going to skip a little, leave a little gap and put some there. And let's see, I want some up here on the hat, right there. Alright, I'm going to go over to this side now. I've still got a little bit of ink on here, I think. And I'll put some here. Alright, then I'm going to put some down here. And put my thing there. A little bit there. And we can put some in the hair, but it may not show up very well in the hair area. So we've got a good amount of stamping done on there for this one. So I'm just going to take a baby wipe real quick and remove any excess paint that's on my stamp so that the ink won't dry on there. Take it to my sink and wash it. So it's important to keep the stamps fairly clean so that you don't have buildup of either paint or ink, whatever you use. If you're using paint, you definitely want to take it immediately to your sink and clean it. Alright, let's get ready to move on to our next step. Okay, this is looking pretty cool already. Okay, I'm going to work on her face a little bit. We kept it pretty light in here, but I'm going to lighten it up just a little bit. So I'm going to grab a, what is this? This is a 12 flat. Yeah. Paper towel here. And the first thing I want to do is lighten up the skin just a little bit. So I'm going to take the colors that we used in the background. These are all the colors that we're going to use in the whole project. So just so you know, we have limited colors here. I'm going to take this warm beige and some white and mix them. See how this color goes. We'll try an equal amount. If it's too light, then we'll go into a little bit darker color. And we want her to stand out, but I want a little bit more of that warm beige in there. We want her to stand out, but we don't want the hat and the shoulders to stand out so much, you know. If that makes any sense. All right, I'm just gonna, I've got way too much down here. Let me just remove some of that. Try that again. We're gonna do 2 of the beige and 1 white. That was a little bit brighter than what I wanted. I want to keep this more on this side as well. We'll shade underneath the hat, but we want the skin to be a little bit brighter on this side. Get some of that out of my brush. And way too much water. We'll put a little bit down through here. Let's do 2 of the warm beige and 1 white. Have some water in your brush. Need to spritz my palette here. And we'll just keep this soft and light. Okay, not super incredibly bright, so don't feel like it has to be really bright. We're just lightening up the left, would be the left side of, when we're facing it, will be her right side of her face, but left to us, and a little bit down here on the neck area. Just kind of to the left and in the center just a little bit. Hair is going to cover some of that up, but we want a little lightness in there, okay? I'm going to put a little bit of this on the nose. Not too much. We want some, actually that's too much. We want to make our little area here that's above the nose. I'm going to have to erase that nose back a little bit. The lines are too dark, so I don't want them to be that dark. I'm going to have to erase down here too, but I want to let that dry. So spritz some water in my palette there. I'm going to grab a smaller brush, a round brush here. Okay, one step I completely forgot to do was I want to do spattering on here. So we're going to use some of the colors that we have here. I'm going to use some white, some Rookwood red, maybe some burnt umber and Payne's gray. We'll see. So I'm just going to thin some paint down with some water and tap. This is white with another brush. Just randomly on here. We can come back and do this again at the end if we cover up too much of our white dots. I'm not too worried about the other colors. So I'm going to do some Rookwood red. And I think I probably will do this at the end as well. We'll see how it goes. I may just save all of the, if I do this again, I think I'll save all the spattering for the very end. Alright, let me put a little bit of the Payne's gray in here. kind of thick paint there. Really thick dot right there. Splattering, not my favorite thing. I just don't like the mess that it makes. Okay. Alright, that's good enough for now. I'm going to let these dry before we continue. If you got any on your face, you'll want to remove them. But like I said, I think in my instructions I am going to have this be something that is done at the very end as an accent. So we'll see how it goes with doing it. That little blob right there is super, super incredibly thick. Let's see if I can get that off of there without making a big, awful mess. It's a big old blob. Alright, let me get this dry, then we're going to continue on the face. Okay, I think I got most of my spatters dry. That's definitely going to be at the end instruction though. Let's move on to the lips. Here I want to paint the opening inside with some soft black, and I did not draw that on very good either, so I will try to need some water in my paint. It's starting to dry. I should get fresh paint out. Never want to take the time to do that. I need a smaller brush here. A little opening inside of her mouth, and we can use this same color in her nostrils up here. And they're just a little oval shape. I usually try to get them the same size, but you know, it doesn't always work out that way. Let me see if I can erase the nostrils back a little bit. This line right here on her neck, still a little dark. Okay, let's put some color on her lips here. See which one of these brushes is going to work out best for me. Just some thinned Rookwood Red, very washy color. Mixed a lot of water with it. I want to start out light and we can build from there. Just fill it in with this washy stuff. I'm going to give her a little bit higher peak to her lips here. Just a little bit more of a point there. Okay, that's just a little wash on there. If you feel like the opening of her mouth is too big, I'm not sure, we can take that down with some red, but we can give it a try. Okay, I want to lighten up just a little bit more on her skin, so I'm going to apply another layer of that mix of 2 warm beige and 1 white. I especially want a little bit of lightness out here on her nose. A little bit on the tip. And a tiny little bit on this side. This side's the lightest. We're going to shade underneath there. And then a little bit out here and a little bit more down here. So if yours fades back in there kind of like mine did, because I had a lot of water in my brush, This should be very subtle on her skin. We shouldn't see a lot of boldness in this color. I'm going to put a little bit out here. Just kind of slap, dry brush it on that shoulder. It's going to make that shoulder appear a little bit more. We don't want any hard lines with this, so just keep it light and soft. On this one over here, I think I'll just do the warm beige, a little wash of that, so I've got water in my brush, and just load a little bit of that warm beige in there, and just lightly brush some of that on there. No hard lines. We're just creating a shape here. Don't go all the way onto your graphite lines if they're still there, and then you can come back and erase them. Okay, just a little bit. Just creates those shoulder areas for us. A little bit of that warm beige. Just kind of bring that shoulder down a little bit. Okay, we just want to see these features. We don't want them to be bold in our face. Okay. All right, so I want to do a little more on the lips. Oh, they're not dry, so I can't do that yet. Can't do that quite yet. So let's go work on the hat while those lips dry. Okay, I think my lips are dry. I'll give it a shot here. Take another little wash of that Rookwood red. And apply on here. Just a washy color, washy layer. We're putting thin layers on here, nothing pure paint. Okay? Alright, so we were going to move up to the hat, but I think what I will do is shade a little bit underneath the chin. So we want to take our pebble and side load for a float with it. And it might not be dark enough, so I'm just going to barely get a little bit of burnt umber and darken that just slightly. So just a touch. Sneak up on that color, and we're going to go underneath the chin here. That is a little bit darker than what I wanted, so I'm going to just wipe some of that out of my brush and grab some water, and that will thin that color a little bit. Alright, we're going to go underneath the neck. On each side right there, just under the neck, we'll put a little bit right there. We'll have to, if our hair doesn't cover that area back there, we'll have to darken that. But we'll get a start there so you can see where the neck is, and then we can put a little bit of this underneath the hat brim, just a little bit along this side of the cheek where the hair may be creating a little bit of a shadow there. I'm going to mix a little bit more. That's our pebble with a tiny little bit of burnt umber. I can get some on my brush here. Wipe excess paint out of my brush so I'm not applying a lot of paint here. And then we'll go right through here. Get that little bit of a shadow there. You can definitely move to a smaller brush here. Don't feel like you have to use a great big brush like I'm using. We'll give a little shadow underneath the lip here. Okay, I'm zooming in just a little bit. We're going to do, I think I will go to a smaller brush. Maybe grab an angle brush here. Alright, I've got a 3/8 inch angle, so I'm going to mix that pebble and a little bit of burnt umber. tap my paper towel, and we're going to go around the nostrils, under the nose a little bit. I'm going to go above the lip, just in the center. We need to lighten that on each side there to create that little bit of valley that's right there. So I'll grab my warm beige and white mix on my brush, tap tap, and we're going to put a little bit here and a little bit here, a little bit above the top lip, gets a little bit of a highlight. Okay, I'm going to do a little bit more on the tip of the nose. And then you just want to go back in and refine everything. Shape your nose any way that you want to shape it, whatever appeals to you. It doesn't have to be the same shape as mine, so don't feel like you have to. I'm going to tone that down just a little bit. Got a little bit darker than what I wanted, but we still want that highlight on the top of the lip. So try and stay off of the lip. I'm not doing a very good job of it. We don't want it really wide either. It needs to stay pretty narrow on that lip. Okay, just a little bit more there I think is needed. And maybe just a touch along this edge. We don't really see too much. That's way too much. So I'm going to grab some of my pebble and my warm beige and mix them. I don't want, I'm just going to take my finger and rub it. We want to see the shape of the face over there. We just don't want hard lines of the shape of the face because the light is more on this side. Okay, a little bit more darkening underneath. I think I'll add some soft black to my pebble. You can stay with the warm beige or the burnt umber and pebble mix. Yep, I would stay with the burnt umber. I said warm beige. It's burnt umber. I would stay with the burnt umber mix because it's not going to be quite so dark. I really feel like I didn't get her nostrils quite right. So let me show you how to fix that, because our nostrils are our background colors. And a little bit of, let's see if I can adjust this nostril to be a little bit bigger. Tip of the nose as well. So you're seeing me create right here on camera. This nostril on this side is shaped weird, so I'm going to see if I can fix that. By shading around it and trying to shape it a little bit smaller. It was really poking out there. Okay, that's, oops, paint on the wrong side. One more little highlight on the nose, I think. Sure, I want her nose to be coming down quite that low, but I'm going to go around the nostril. Okay. Well, that's looking better. Okay. Now let's do a little bit more on the lips. First, I'm going to put that soft black in the center here. Just darken that up just a little bit. Okay, we're going to shade on the lips with our rookwood and some soft black. We're just kind of dirtying up that red there. I've got water in my brush, so I don't have tons of paint. This is going to be just a light color. It's kind of a washy little float, so don't make it too harsh. I like to sneak up on things. I don't like for them to just like, whoo, there they are. So we don't want to do that. Okay? Alright, so I'm going to create a little darker side to her mouth with that rookwood and soft black. I'm just doing an equal mix, but if it's too dark, go and grab a little bit more of the rookwood. Okay, and this side of her mouth over here, I think I need less water, a little bit more of the soft black. This is going to be the shadow side of her lip. Okay, so it'll be darker because it's more in the shadow. Go ahead and darken underneath this little crease here. Okay, we definitely need to let that dry. So let me grab my dryer here. I want to touch up on that dark edge there with that mix of rookwood and soft black. I just dipped into each one, but like I said, if it's too dark, it's turning more soft black and you can't really tell if there's red on there, then add more rookwood red into your mix, okay? Alright, so that side of the lip is definitely going to be the darker side. We'll put a little bit right there, but not too much, because this is the lighter side of the mouth. First, let's add a few little lines on there. Okay, let's see about adding some lines. We're going to take that rookwood red and a little bit of soft black. See, we're just darkening up our red here. Touch my paper towel. And we're going to see if these lines are going to show up on here or not. We just want some, I'm really going to have to zoom in for this, I think. We just want some fine little lines. I think I'm going to have to add a little bit more of the soft black in here. Make it slightly darker. We want to see it, but we don't want them to be super bold in your face kind of lines, you know? Over here we probably won't see them at all because that's a dark area. So just a few lines on the top of the mouth. And we'll put just a few on the bottom. I'm going to put a couple over here, and then I think I might add a little bit more of the soft black and see if I can get some to show up over here. Okay, they're just fine, delicate little lines. Do not let them get great, big, fat, and bold. We don't want that look at all. Okay, let's add a little highlight on here. So we're going to take our warm beige get my palette up here so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to take my warm beige and a little bit of Rookwood Red and create a lighter color here for a highlight. Okay, I'm going to highlight up here. Maybe a little bit more of the warm beige, or maybe I'll just add a tiny little bit of white in there. I mean, just the teeniest, tiniest little amount of white, just to get that a little bit brighter. Okay, we're going to put some right here on her lip. Create a little bit of a highlight through here. It's just a little dabbing. Don't feel like you have to get it super a lot, so I'm just going to dab some right there and a little bit through there. So it's just a subtle little highlight. So try to keep it subtle. Don't let it become so bright that you are like, oh, okay, or don't put so much down. I put just the tiniest little bit of paint on there. Let's wide angle out. And you can see her mouth, and it looks so much better. So much better. I might put a little bit of pink on her nose, make her nose look a little softer and not quite so harsh there. Maybe just a little bit of this mix on her chin. And she's looking really pretty. Okay, so you can add an even brighter little highlight on there if you would like to. I'm going to take that mix though, and with my liner, and put a little bit, if I can get enough on my brush. I might have to mix some more here. Not sure I'm getting the same color as what I put on there for the highlight, but I'm going to try and get close. Highlight just a little bit next to a couple of these lines. Okay, I'll zoom back in so you can see that. Probably can't even see what I did. So you can see just a little bit right there and there, just kind of there, kind of not. All right, I'm going to wash my brush and take a little bit of white. So if you want a little bit more of a brighter highlight, I'm just using this detail brush with just a little thinned white, and we can add some brighter little highlights in here. Give her lip a little bit more of a shine. Just where you put the initial highlights, so don't put it everywhere, and it's just a super subtle little thing. Okay, so you can see that side of her mouth is clearly in the dark. If you need to, you can touch up inside here if you got your shape kind of messed up. Okay, I think that'll finish her face. I think it looks pretty good. When we get some more areas done, we may want to highlight a little bit more down through there and maybe down through here, but I think for now her face looks pretty good. All right, let's work on her hat. See if I can find a little bit bigger angle brush. If not, I'll get a little bit different of a flat brush here. Okay, so we're going to start adding some shading and different colors onto the hat. Alright, this brush feels stiff, like maybe I didn't get it clean. Okay, so we're going to take our Rookwood Red and some of our soft black and make this dark color here. Oops. All right, so we've got this little area that we drew right here. Stop that from spinning. I'll grab my line drawing so you can see it. This area right here. We're going to work on that area. We're going to work right in here with a little bit of shading and maybe down through here. Okay, so we're going to take this side-loaded brush and create some dark stuff down in here. I'm not worried about getting into the hair because we have not done the hair area yet, so don't stress out about that. We want it to kind of fade away and just be a little dark area in there. Okay, load a little bit more on my brush here, and I'm going to go over here where we drew this line down this edge here and create a little bit of a shadow area right through there. Okay, we're going to take some down through here. I want to bring some burnt umber or soft black in here as a shadow as well. And we'll come right through here a little bit. And we're going to also use this up of this side of the hat. I don't know what I'm going to do with the hat band yet. Okay, again, try not to go onto your graphite lines because then you can come back and erase those lines. Okay, let's see. I think I'm going to grab a little bit of soft black now in my brush. I just wiped out the paint. I didn't wash my brush, so it's still got a little bit of the red in there, which is perfectly fine. I want to darken over here a little bit, so I'm just going to pity pat and kind of smooth it out, staying off my graphite lines because I really want to come back and erase those. And we'll put a little bit of it down in here. We can create a little bit of a highlight in there, make that a little more fun and interesting. Okay, I'm going to put a little bit of this burnt umber, like right through here. Or soft black, it's not burnt umber, it's soft black. Okay, I got another place I'd like to put this. A little bit of soft black, maybe a little bit of the rookwood red in with it. And let's go in through here. Okay, this area back here that we put in, we can make it a little bit darker so it pulls that corner forward more. Okay, a little bit more through here. Let's do a little bit underneath our hat band. This is the rookwood red and soft black. And we'll just bring that over. More up here on this edge of the hat. A little bit more water so I can move my paint. Mix a little more. Definitely need more water. And back up here. And we'll darken a little bit more through there. Okay. So I'm going to rinse that out because I want to go with just soft black now. And I'm working it into my brush with a little bit of water so it creates a soft color. The more you work that water into that paint, the softer it gets. You can work it too much and get it completely washed out. A little more water. So if that happens, just tip your brush onto your paper towel and can't see my line there. Not really sure where my hat goes here. That's the hat band there, so it comes around the hat band. This little bit of shadow here. This is with soft black, and then my hat comes down this way. A little more water. Just establishing the edges of the hat. Okay, I'm going to grab a little rookwood red Mix that in, a little more water, make it a little more transparent, and we'll go underneath the hat here. So this is just playing around with, you know, the colors a little bit, establishing some shadows, and because the hat is just the hat, okay? It's not going to have a super lot of detail going on with it. We will lighten it up in some places like we did on the face. Okay. I'm going to go back up here to the, up here. That needs to be darker through here. A little bit more soft black in my brush, and we'll just kind of scoot that over a little bit. That's the dark side of our hat. We want it to look dark. So this is where you just kind of see what needs a little more color. We're shaping this side of the hat by creating the shadow on this side of the hat. This side of the hat will be shaped more with our highlight. And I think that comes down there a little bit. That pattern line I erased back just a little bit too much, so it's giving me a little bit of trouble. Okay, so we want to put a little bit of highlight in here now. And then we'll come back and see where we need to touch up with a little bit of our shading. I'll do a little bit of Rookwood Red, very lightly, so it's going to have plenty of water through here. I want this to be more red. Just brush it on, scoot it around. A little bit more through here, a little bit more red instead of so much black. Because that's the red side of the hat. Let's put a little bit more red in here. Just some thin layers here. Use your finger, blend it out. But I really want to see that red pop a little bit more. We can make it pop in our background later too if we need to, but right now I just want to see it showing up on the hat more. Okay. And there's really not going to be any right or wrong to your values as long as you're using those same colors. Okay, I think that's looking pretty good for our layer here, because like I said, we can come back in and add more as we need it. I don't know what I'm going to do with that hat band, so we shall see with that. Alright, we're going to create some highlights on the hat, and then I'm going to figure out what I'm going to do with the hat band. So we're going to take our warm beige and our white, and I think we'll do 2 warm beige, 1 white, like we did on the skin. And we'll see how this is going to highlight on here. Maybe an extra warm beige. I might grab some pebble. We may need to add some of that in there. Now this all will depend on your background color, because if your background color is a little bit darker than mine or a little bit lighter than mine, then you obviously won't need to darken your highlight like I am doing. Going to go along the hat brim. I'm using warm white, a little bit, or warm beige, a little bit of white, and a little bit of pebble. beige, one white, one pebble, blend, 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 tap, and go to your surface. So we're going to create this lighter in here. I'm going to give it a little bit of shadow, I think, but mostly light in there. A little bit more water. So I want it a little bit lighter over here. And we're going to create some lightness out here. Now this is where I'm going to have to add a little bit more white because the paint color out here is lighter. So I just picked up a little bit more white into my brush. We don't have to have a solid line when we're creating a highlight, so don't feel like you have to do that. I'm going to take that little bit more of the white that's in my brush and go back across the front and kind of just back and forth brush that kind of up that little center area there. Let's take a little warm beige and put a little bit of highlight out here on this edge. I'm still trying to not go over my graphite lines so that I can come in and erase them. So just take your finger and blend that out. Okay, let's do this side of the hat. And we're going to do one warm beige and one white because that is such a light area. I think we might need this lighter color up here. Kind of bring that over a little bit. Remember, we don't want this to be opaque colors because we don't want to cover up all of our stamping that we did. Might put a little bit more of this up the center. Okay. I'm going to add a little bit more of the white in my brush and a little bit brighter over here. Just dirtied brush right into some white. That way it's not pure white. We just want to keep things a little bit loose and rough. I'm going to grab a little bit of the warm beige, mix it in. I want this a little lighter in through here. And I'm going to definitely lighten out here. A little tiny touch of white. So you'll want to go over these highlight areas probably a couple of times. And the second time I'm just going to dirty brush into some white and kind of bring that out. Why not make that place where the paint kind of disappeared when the water went through it a highlight? Why not? It's there. We can create that really cool look there. I'll go back into the center here. A little bit of water, just dirty brushing into some white because I want this to be light through here. Take it up through there just a little bit. Use your finger, kind of rub it out. Grab a little bit of the warm beige back in my brush here. Blend, 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 tap, tap, tap. I don't want a hard line separation there between all of our colors, so don't let it get too... Now we don't want that to be super incredibly bright white, so don't get it super bright white because we are getting ready to stamp onto this hat. Before I do my stamping though, I want to erase my graphite lines. So let me grab an eraser and just go around all my elements and any graphite lines that I can still erase. I want to erase, not where the hair is, just, you know, like around the chin here, which I don't think we can get. out around the brim of the hat. I don't think we can get that. But around the outside edge of the hat, we should be able to get these lines, and around the shoulder, if you haven't painted over those lines. I tried not to paint over mine. And I'm just checking to see. I can't erase that where the hat band is yet because I haven't done anything with that yet. Okay, we're going to get ready to stamp here. And I'm going to be using this stamp. You can use any stamp, any stencil. If you do not want to do this part, then leave this part off. This is your creation. It's totally up to you. But this is the one that I am using. So if you have this one, grab it. I'm going to use this, well, I don't know. I think I might use the smaller stencil. Let's see which one I would like. I think I'm going to go with the smaller one. Okay, so I'm just going to remove it off of the sheet, and we are going to use some white paint because I don't have any white ink. So I'm going to use a makeup sponge, and I'm just going to tap some paint onto my stamp here. I'm not going to worry about covering the whole thing. And then I'm just going to go straight up. I don't want to get it on the face. I'm not sure what I did with my paper, so just get a new piece. Or not. I don't want it on the face, but I want it up here on the hat. So I'm going to put it right there. Super cool. And then again, I'm just going to be creative and go around different places and add some of this. I think I want a little bit up here. Oh, how fun is that? My gosh, I'm loving it. A little more paint on it. Light layers of paint. Let's go over here. Keep this from spinning. Let's put some over here. Fun. I am reapplying paint every single time to make sure that I can get paint where I want it. I want a little bit here and a little bit here. I could cover my hat. That would probably be easier. Okay, that looks super cool. I'm going to put a little bit down on the shoulders, not a lot. Little bits of paint, little. Let's go over here and do some. I want some up here. I want a little bit in here. Just a touch, and maybe just a touch up there. It's your painting. You go with it where you want to go with it. And then we need a little bit more on the hat. And cover the face, because I want some here. Oh, I got it on my face, so let me grab a damp brush and clean that off. Didn't have my paper down far enough, so we'll just clean it off. Not a big deal. Damp brush, clean, clean, clean. Alright, and then maybe just a touch up there. Your painting. So be as bold as you want to be. Take that off of there. Okay, we've got the hair to go down in here. We're going to spatter some more when we're done getting the hair in, but I really think that looks super good. I'm loving that. Okay, so you want to take your stamp, because we use paint on it, you want to take it to your sink and clean it. Okay, so the hat brim. I don't think I want it to stand out a lot, but I want it to have a little bit of color, and we've already stamped on it, so I probably should have painted it in before I stamped on it. Okay, so I'm thinking I'm going to make it red with a little bit of soft black mixed in with it. Mostly red. So I'm just going to make a wash of red, a little bit of soft black in there. And let's really thin this down with some water so we can just get a wash of this on here. And I'm going to go around my white areas so I'm not putting it, covering up too much of my white. But you would ideally want to do this before you paint your white areas in, or stamp your white stuff in. A little bit of burnt umber along that edge, and just to blend it. Kind of a wet on wet blending there. And I'm going to wipe my brush off and really take that down. Not too much color through here, because this is where kind of our highlight area is, so we don't have to make that quite so dark. This is more of our highlight edge over here too, so it doesn't need to be super dark. So we can see it's kind of a red band on there. You can certainly make that hat band any color that you want. I was thinking of making it soft black to give a little bit more of the darker color up in there, and I still might, after I get the hair painted in, if I feel like we're just missing some, our eye moving around with some dark color, I still might do that. Let's paint some soft black in here and give it a little bit of a shadow. That water out of my brush. Okay. And I might do just a little bit over here. Get this a little bit darker right next to the hair here. That's just a little bit of soft black. I know it looks weird right now because we haven't put the hair in, and we'll be shading along here once we get the hair in here. Touch up here where I got some highlight in there. And a little bit here where I kind of came out with the highlight too far. Alright, she's looking good. We're definitely going to be doing the hat band before. Just all there is to it. I do like how it turned out right there, but I'm thinking I'm going to have to make it darker to make it stand out. Well, let's just go ahead and do that. Let's just make it darker. Let's make a wash of the soft black, because I do want it to stand on top more. Okay, that was a lot, so I just washed out my brush, and now I'm just going to pull that color. We're going to keep it really dark over here, and just a little bit of stuff going on through here, because I already put my white on, and then we'll just kind of let it fade away there. Alright, I think that looks better. So we want to do the soft black, start out dark, work our way across, getting lighter as we go across, because this is our light side, and we can lighten that up on that edge to make it match everything else over there with just a little bit of white. Not too much, just a little. Get that little glow of the band. Alright, she is looking gorgeous. Okay, I do want to shade underneath the hat band again, but I'm not going to do it until we get the hair in. So with the hair, we're going to start with some soft black, thin just a little bit down. And we're going to start just laying in the foundation for the hair. This is the under part, the darkest part of the hair. We do want to be careful and stay right there with the bottom of the hat, and the face is another place we want to make sure that we go around and keep the shape. And then we're just going to, whew, that's a lot of paint there. Way too much paint. We're just going to start pulling down, and I'm on the chisel edge of the brush, and we're just going to stay along the neck here for this darker color, and then we'll pull some strands, but we want to keep that shape right there. And don't worry about getting hair detail with this particular brush. Right now we're just laying in under layering of her hair. Okay, a little bit of paint on your brush. Make sure that you keep it nice next to the hat. Now this side of the face is not as important because the hair comes over the face. But we just want to bring it down and around and fill in for some dark stuff. Okay, we're seeing more hair on this side than we are on this side. I'm going to bring some of this down because all of this is going to come around and have some fun stuff going on to it. Right now this is just under hair, or as you would be doing something else, it's just under coat. So okay, so our hair's going to come down and around her like that. We don't want to have too much water in your soft black so that you can't get a nice opaque coverage. Okay. And this will look rough, so don't I don't want you worrying too much about it right at this point. Now see how it makes her face really pop? Oh, now we can see where we need to do a little bit of shading. Okay. So I'm going to wash this brush out. And we're going to grab our angle brush, and we're going to take our pebble and a little tiny bit of soft black, maybe a little bit more soft black than that, some burnt umber, a little more soft black. Mix just the pebble's going to keep it from getting really super dark. a shade right along here. And that's going to have to be darker than that, but we will definitely work it up to it. So she is looking super cute. Now you see why I wanted the hat band to be so dark, to kind of bring the color, the eye down to the hair. So I think I'm going to have to darken the hat band. And I believe in the instructions, I'm just going to put darken it until you are happy with the color. I mean, we're going to have light layers on top of that, so I'm going to wash it out. That way I can just pull some of this paint and not make everything so dark. A little bit through here. And then we'll bring it over just into that highlight that we made. So we've got a nice dark band there now. I like that. It looks good. And I was thinking about putting a rose over here to kind of carry a little bit of the red over there. I haven't decided yet. Again, if I do decide to do that, we may go ahead and stamp some white over it. I like the white standing on top. I think it looks really good. So let's get the hair dry. Okay, I know on the hair we're going to be using a round brush, a filbert brush, and I don't know what size filbert brush I want to use, so I've got a 4, a 6, and a 8 here. I think I might start with the largest one. And let's see what color we want to start with here. I'm not sure that burnt umber is going to show up on here, but we'll try. We want to start creating some strokes of hair in here just on the tip of this brush, and it's not going to show up a lot, so I think we'll mix some pebble in it, so 2 burnt umber and 1 pebble. And we'll start, and you can use just a round brush to do this as well. So we're going to bring some hairs over this way and some down this way, just up on the chisel brush. Make them go different directions, and a couple out this way. We're going to keep those dark ones out there, I think. 1 pebble, 2 burnt umber, and just start creating some hairs. Up on the tip of the brush. We're going to have some hair going this way. If you give too much pressure, you're going to get fat hairs, and you don't want that. Grab a little bit of water if it's not moving. And if you cannot get the kind of control out of this brush that you would like, then grab a smaller brush. I'm just going to keep grabbing these colors and mixing them. So we've got all this hair that's down here that we're going to bring this direction. I definitely need water in my brush. We're going to bring this direction. And then we've got all this hair up here that was fat strokes there. We're going to bring this direction kind of on top of it. Okay, kind of. And then we'll have some going this way. So her hair's going different directions, okay? It's like coming around here and swirling down, but this is coming across and on top, okay? Make sense? Clear as mud. All right, I'm gonna mix some more. 1 and 2, a little bit of water. And we'll start on this side, and then we're going to come down and around, and that It's kind of a thick strand there. I really don't want them to get thick, so if they're getting thick and I'm up on the tip, then I have way too much paint in my brush. And then these are going to kind of curve down and around. You can use a rake brush to do hair, but I don't think it gives quite the same detail that painting it in by hand does, where you do stroke by stroke. I think that gives you a more realistic hair. We're going to be using a small round here in a little bit to add some fine little hairs coming out. And this will keep it from being so tight and compact. It'll make it look a little loose and more free-flowing. So that's our second layer on the hair. You see, we don't want to cover up everything that is there. I'm going to move to a smaller filbert brush now. All right, I'm going to go to a 6, and we're going to use Pebble as our next color. So you have to have water in your brush, so make sure you've got some water on your palette that you can grab. We want this nice and flowy, like inky consistency, not quite inky, a little bit thicker. Doesn't have to be quite that thin, because inky consistency can fade out very, very quickly. I'm going to bring a couple of these down this way. Need water. Fresh paint always works best, so I should probably get some fresh paint out. I can start bringing just a few hairs out. As long as you're staying up on the tip of the brush and it is creating these nice soft hairs. Okay. But we're mostly going to use a round brush to do that. Fine hairs. Need a little water, paint. We don't want draggy, not for hair. We want okay. We'll wash over this hair. We don't want it to be super light everywhere, so we will definitely wash over it with some of our darker colors. Okay, I'm way back on the handle, by the way, so that I can just have a little bit more loose control of my brush. So she's looking pretty good. Okay, that was with Pebble. Remember, we're not doing so much that we're covering up all of our layers, okay? But we can come back in and create some of those darker colors if we need to. I am going to go back in and bring some of that up here to the hat. Now you can, ooh, too much water. Way too much water. You can tape off the hat if you're worried about getting it up there on the hat brim, but we do need some of this up here Maybe not so much on this side because this is the shadow side, so I wouldn't worry too much about that side. But on this side we need it to be at least pretty close to the hat brim. And if you get it up higher over here like I just did, not to worry. We can wash some dark color over that and take care of it. No problem at all. She's looking pretty good, I think. Okay, the next layer we're going to use a round brush, so a 2 or a 3 round depending on what brand of brush you're using. I like to use a 2. I couldn't find my 2. I've got a 3 here, so I'm going to see how well it does. And we're going to create some brighter hairs in here. Remember to thin your paint, it's important. We're going to create some bright layers in here. Maybe the light's hitting these a little bit more. These are thin hairs, so if your brush is not creating thin hairs for you, then you probably need to get a different brush. Okay, I'm going to start creating some that are coming out over here on the face a little bit, but I want to start with the darker color before I do that. So I'm going to go over here and create just a few light ones. Okay, just a few over there. I want to darken that shadow right there real quick. So let me find my angle brush. I'm going to go just with some soft black. And we'll go right here. Keep it off the face. And just darken that a little bit. I want to make sure that we are smooth right here on the neck. And we're going to start creating some flyaway hairs. I'm going to get an even smaller brush. Let's see what I've got. I want a long detail liner. Okay, first I'm going to add some soft black ones. And we'll just create some. I need this to be inky consistency. Again, fresh paint is always best to use. And just come around the face and do a few we'll come back in and put a few highlights on top of these, but we want to see some more wispy type hairs. Don't make them all going the same. Okay? These are just some wispy, wiry hairs, not wiry, but flyaway hairs. And we'll do some in some other colors as well. I'm going to put a few coming out from underneath the hat up here. And then we'll have some that are coming across onto her neck here. we'll definitely be washing some color over on this side because this side of the hair needs to be darker. It's in the shadow. So we're just creating some of these wispy hairs. Okay, she's looking really cute. I'll wash this brush out and I'm going to go into, let me get some fresh pebble out, and we'll create just a few light ones coming out as well. Just thin it down with your water, make it inky consistency, and we're going to repeat using that color. Alright, thin it down. Inky consistency is best. Alright, and just create. If you feel like your brush is really loaded with paint, then you can go to your paper, like that. You can go to your paper towel first and touch the tip to your paper towel. Again, that was a lot. Okay, these are just those thin ones. Again, like those dark ones we just did, we're not going to do as many, but we do want to see a few of these. This is going to help give us those super fine hairs. Okay, now at this point, when you get done with this one, you're going to want to look at it and see if you've lost a color, and put that on here. Put some more strokes of maybe that particular color on here, just with this liner, because it will get some nice fine hairs on here, and you won't have a lot of thick layers going on. Okay, so if you feel like you've lost any other color, go ahead and put it in. I really feel like it needs some more soft black in there. You could add some strokes of rookwood red in here. That would be gorgeous. Let's just do that. Let's just thin down some rookwood red and add a few little red strokes in here. Who knows, maybe she's got a little, a little streak of red in her hair, or a lot of streak of red in her hair. Definitely don't need that. Alright, just a few. This is just an added bonus in here. Could mix it with soft black if you want to keep it a little on the darker side. So like on this side of the hair, could make them a little darker with that mix. Okay, she's looking really good. Now, once we start putting our shading in her hair, it's going to change how her hair looks quite a bit. So you're probably looking at it now thinking, well, it just all looks the same and I don't see any depth in her hair. Well, we're going to create that depth with some shading. So right now I think her hair looks pretty good. We may come back and add a little bit of brighter few strands, especially on this side with a mix of warm beige and white, but I want to get the shading done first and we'll put that on top. All right, let's begin our shading in the hair. Now, let me get my white pencil out because this might help you to understand a little bit. We want to shade back in here, so this is going to be a top layer. So we're only going to darken back in there. We're also going to darken at this edge to make this look on top, and then we're going to find a couple of places within our hair where we can add some shading and create more layers upon layers. So I hope that wasn't too confusing. Let's just get to it. Side load your soft black. This is a pretty sheer float here, so I've got some water in my brush, a little bit of water, and it's softening that paint down. That's probably going to be a little too sheer. Wipe a little bit of that off, grab a little more water. I want it sheer to start with because we can always add more, but we can't take away. So the first thing we're going to do is go underneath, and I do want a little bit more here. We're going to go underneath the hat, and then this is causing a little bit of shadow in the hair here, so you see how I flip the toe of the brush towards the hat rim, and we'll just take this down a little bit into the hair. So that's creating a little bit of shadow there. I want to also create a little bit of a shadow right here. So it's going to push this hair on top and this hair behind, just right through there. And you can be as creative with your hair as you would like. There will be areas that you can definitely see that, oh, that's a deep part of the hair and this is more on top, just by the way that you painted it in. So we're going to go around the hair here, just kind of choppily, and create a little bit of a shadow here. Okay, so now you can already see that that is underneath that. So now it's probably making a little bit more sense. So I'm going to put some in here. I want a shadow. I can see a shadow in there. I can see a little bit of shadow in here. So we can see that those strands are on top and these strands are on top. I'm going to put some in here. Create a little dark area back in there. This is just with a little bit of soft black. I've got plenty of moisture mixed in with that paint to keep it from overtaking, because we can come back and repeat this. Okay, let's go down here in this section and create a few dark areas. So this right here we can definitely tell is dark. Let's make this a dark area. I don't know what that was in my paint. Probably pencil erasers. And definitely dark there and dark there. So we can come back in and add some highlight strands on top of all of that. So you just look around and see where you think a shadow area is in the hair. Okay? Super, super easy, because the way that you paint it in is really going to give you a guide for how it should look. Now over here we definitely want it dark next to the face here, just right through there. We want it dark underneath the hat, and this whole side is basically going to be dark. We want to create some really dark areas first, and then we're going to wash over it with some soft black. We're going to create a dark area right in here. And right through here. You see how it's happening? Okay, then this area, where I drew the line there. So this is on top of this. And then we can create a couple of really dark areas down here. And we can create some darkness here. Definitely need to get some fresh paint out here. Okay, don't do so much that you take away all your strands of hair. I mean, you don't want to end up having to repaint all of your strokes in there, okay? Now, this side of the hair, it's not quite dry, but this side, I'm going to let it dry a little bit before I do it. I'm going to wash over it with some soft black. But before I do that, I want to add a few strands back on top. I'm going to go to my pebble first. And maybe a little soft black. Okay, just on this side, I just want to add them on this side. Okay, I think I'm going to dirty brush into some white and thin that. Ooh, that's pretty darn thin. Might be too thin. And I'm going to put just a couple of bright strokes in her hair here, where the highlight is really, I mean, it's really getting. It's really getting some sun. Okay, don't do too much of that, or it's just the whole look is going to, you're just going to lose it, you know, having it as a highlight. Okay, you just got to do it in a couple places. Now, this side is also going to get just a couple of hairs that are super bright, but we're going to wash over that side first. So I'm going to take my soft black and create a very sheer wash of it. Super sheer, mostly water. Okay, tap, tap, tap on my paper towel, and then just brush over. It's going to take this side of the hair down and make it not as bright as that side. And you can do it a couple of times just on the hair. Don't be going out wild with it. Just soften, light, or dull that side down a little bit. Just with a little bit of water and soft black. Okay, we'll still have our highlights over there. They're just not going to be as bright. Okay, I think I'm going to add a few just straight white ones on here. Okay, so that side's pretty bright. So I'm going to go back to this mix of white and a little bit of pebble, I think is what was in my brush. That's not quite dry on that side. Dry that. We want to darken up underneath the hat some more. And we're going to put just a couple of these that are getting a little bit of light over here. Not too many. Don't get carried away. Okay, just a couple of stragglers that are getting. Anytime you get it too bright, you can just take your finger and swish it away. Okay. And if you don't like your shading on your hair, you can darken that as well. I'm going to put some fresh soft black out. If I can get it out. A while ago I couldn't get any to come out of the bottle. There we go. A little bit more paint in my brush, I think. Less water. Yeah, I feel like I got her hair really wide on this side. Of course, we can see more of it on this side, but I think if I was to do it again, I'd probably chop her hair right there. Cut it a little bit shorter. Okay, that's got the shadow there for that side. Good. So this side definitely needs to be darker. Go ahead and darken up a couple places over here. Just create some structured shadows, kind of. On this one, I think I'm going to have to pull some hairs. Ooh, not way up there. These over here can have just a little bit of light, but they're kind of in the shadow. Keep that shadowy. Okay, I can add a little bit of water to my brush and try and darken this shadow back in here without covering up my hairs, because I'm just using a wash. Okay, let's see. Any other areas that we want to darken while we have the soft black in our brush. We did not use black in this project. Black is such a harsh color. I didn't want that in here. Okay, I think our hair looks pretty good. I'm going to leave it right there. So the only thing other that I did was I just put a couple of, for hair strands, I just put a couple of white ones in there. Then we did the shading and separating of the hair, and it looks pretty good. Okay, so the spattering. This is where I am unsure of what to do. I do need to shade a little bit more underneath her hat. And I'm going to take some burnt umber. Mix it with a little bit of soft black. No, burnt umber is going to be too red, so we'll just go with a light layer of soft black. Super, super light to thin it down with water. But right under here, we need to definitely add a little more shading. A little bit darker right through there. So let me get back to the splattering. I have decided that I'm not going to do it on top of everything that we've done because I am liking how it looks. So I'm not going to spatter. I like that we spattered early into the process and took care of it and got it all dry. We don't have to worry about cleaning places up or anything like that. So in my instructions, I'm going to move that instruction back up to where we did it. We did it right after we did the first stamping in the background. So I think she turned out absolutely gorgeous. What have I titled her? I've titled her Lady of Mystery is what I've titled her. And I think she was exceptionally fun. I hope you've enjoyed painting her and learned a lot and had fun creating a really unique background and piece. One of my all-time favorites. So you guys, thank you so much for painting with me. I cannot wait to paint with you on the next one. And give me a thumbs up, like, share, and please subscribe. I appreciate every single one of you. I'll see you guys on the next one, everybody. Bye-bye.